What we saw in 2020 was the availability of the voting process for voters. They could make a plan how they wanted to vote, whether it was in person, whether it was by mail, whether it was on election day. And as elections officials across the state, we felt like we killed it in 2020. We implemented new equipment. We had record turnout for absentee by mail. We had record turnout in our early voting and on election day. Voters didn't have to wait in line. They were able to socially distance and to cast ballots safely and according to their plan. And so yes, we feel like that should be the model moving forward, that 2020 was a good year. As elections officials, obviously, we are still coming through that new law. We're trying to educate ourselves so that we can then adjust our processes and then adapt to the new law. But what I see most notably for the voters in Muscogee County is the reduction in the number of ballot collection drop boxes that will be available to the voters. We will go from 5 to 1, and that 1 will be located here inside the City Services Center. It'll only be open during the hours of early voting, and there will be someone stationed beside that ballot collection drop box to observe that drop box when it is open. That's a big change. We don't want voters to think it was like last year, where we had 5 early voting locations and 5 ballot collection drop boxes, and they could apply 180 days out. We need for voters to be aware of deadlines, the absentee ballot request deadline, the submission deadline, and then the locations for early voting. From testimony in the committee hearings, it was talked about that it would go from 13 cents for a piece of paper to 26 cents for a piece of paper, but we haven't gotten that official expense yet. So that's going to be a huge additional expense for the counties. When you double your ballot price from 13 to 26, that's a big expense that we're going to have to pay. Don't know who's going to pay it at this point. There was discussion in the committee meeting about the state bearing the cost, but don't know at this point. We obviously hope to reduce wait time for voters, whether it's the voters voting by mail, voting in person, or voting on election day. Our objective is to make the process as easy as possible. So we will do an educational process for voters to allow them to make their own plan for voting so that they don't have to wait in lines, and so they can reduce the amount of time that they are in line. That is certainly not our objective, and certainly why we are looking at different alternatives to allow voters to vote. And so the education campaign that we will do for voters will start this Thursday once the board has an opportunity to digest it, and then we put a plan together. That plan can go from now through December. Starting in January of next year, though, we'll be looking at reapportionment and redistricting and the qualifying process for the local offices. And so we hope to have that education campaign complete this year.